Hi Krishna, and welcome to our boot camp on step 8 and 9. These steps 8 and 9 have been like a new journey in understanding Krishna consciousness in a deeper way, because in Krishna consciousness, Bhajana Kriya is the first step where we perform sadhana, chanting, going to the temple. Then is Anartha-Nivritti. So Anartha-Nivritti happens when we choose the path of bhakti. So with this step 8 and 9, it's not appearing properly. Here it is. Okay, now it should. So in step 8 and 9, it is about what. Okay, can you see the screen? I hope so. The path is like this. You can see the path. So welcome to this journey. I am proud of your work so far. If you watched this boot camp, you've been following it and wanting to understand this, it's a great achievement to arrive at step 8 and 9, because this is recovering with Krishna. Because until step 7, really still trying to figure out on our own. It's like kicking and screaming and trying to swim and pulling our hair out and kicking our legs, and it's a struggle. And step 7 is when we learn to float. So when you're floating, you explore another dimension of spiritual life. So we are acknowledging, in this step, what we're doing is we are acknowledging mistakes and making amends. Why? Because it will free our hearts and deepen our devotion. So welcome to step 8 and 9, making amends and mending karma. The theme for me with step 8 and 9, which they don't speak about in AA or Alcoholic Anonymous, but it's all about mending karma. In my profession as an astrologer, I have seen people carry baggage. People carry, they haven't forgiven. They were not forgiven. And then they get into relational patterns. So I've really seen this playing out so much because of not doing the step 8 and 9 in our lives. So here, my dear Vaishnavi friends, my dear Anartha-Nivritti recovery family, we are not just fixing broken bridges. We are actually removing the ego toll booths. We all drive in America, you have all these toll booths. So those ego toll booths are blocking us. So we are actually, this 8 and 9 is like, no more these toll booths. I'm not going to block myself. So whether it's your cousin that you've been ghosting because they're not a devotee, or maybe the mirror that you avoid, you're afraid to stand in front of a mirror and say, my dear Shri Radha Govinda Dasi, I value you, I see you, I love you. So amends start with the truth. So in step 4, you started writing down honest inventory, both of the character defects and of assets. And here we are not just writing down, but we are getting into amends. What amends means? Amends means fixing. Amends means repairing, fixing and repairing certain aspects of our soul. So each principle here in this step, it's not just interpersonal, it's interpersonal as well. So fixing your relationship with others starts with the toughest one. What is that? Anybody can guess?
With yourself.
Yes, that's it. That's the whole point of step 8 and 9. Now, the acronym, who can guess the acronym for step 7 and 8? It's very easy. Amends. Amends is the acronym for step 7, 8, and 9. So I have 2 acronyms in this case, so please learn them nicely. One is the amends that we do with others, the spiritual principles in Krishna consciousness, where this is not an average apology. Let me repeat that. These steps are not about average apology. Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's actually a sacred cleanup. It's not just going to the altar and we clean nicely, right? We prepare the altar. So similarly, both external and internally, we are doing a very maha cleanup, Citraketu, Darpana Marjanam. And each letter of these amends is like a spiritual exfoliator, I call it, scrubbing away the junk of guilt and blame and shame and forget-me-not words and wounds. So it's about starting with myself, making amends to myself, because I am the hardest person to forgive. I can forgive the whole world, but it's so hard to forgive myself. And I was preparing for the steps, and Krishna gave me a test. It was so hard to forgive myself for so many things. Yesterday, I was really struggling. Why? Because if you can't acknowledge your own pain, how can you truly empathize with other people? We cannot. So, this is not an easy thing, becoming willing. By the way, it's not even about being ready in this step. It's about willing only. Don't have to be ready. I like that part about the steps. So making amends doesn't mean calling everyone, causing more drama. And no, 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 no. It means standing in integrity. It means the most powerful amends are made in silence. It's made in changed behavior. It's made in surrendering our pride. And it's made in courage to keep showing up to these meetings and to keep showing up for your recovery. So think of this step as a updating your inner software. It's like patching up the bugs of the past so you can stop crashing every time you remember your wounds or your parents or your dysfunction or your ex who left you, whatever it is, or something that you said to somebody in 2010, or somebody told you something in 2011. So this work is about turning karma chaos into devotional clarity, turning the karmic chaos into devotional clarity. So it's not about fixing your reputation. It's not about looking good. It's not about getting other person to say, I forgive you. No, it's about repairing your character. It's about repairing my character. So that's what really truly invites Krishna in, which Arjuna showed in Bhagavad Gita, not the curated image of me. All right. Acknowledge the amends. A stands for acknowledging the amends that need to be made. That your step 4 will help you with this. Accept responsibility without excuses or blame shifting. Can I have a volunteer to read the next?
Make the list where you can amend.
You can read the next. Becoming genuinely willing to repair what you can. Yeah.
Okay, it's very hard to read. Okay.
Sorry. You read the big one, I'll read a small one.
Empathize with yourself and others.
Understand how your actions affect others. In other words, mindful of it.
Nurture humility.
Yeah, praying to Krishna, in mode of humility. Please guide me. Pray for divine guidance before acting, before telling, I will change myself, not in the mode of passion. Okay.
Directly amends. No, directly amends.
Make
Direct,
amends when safe or offer spiritual restitution. I think I mean to say, I missed a word there. Okay. Then
surrender.
Amends, surrender. Trust the outcome to Krishna's grace. We don't expect that when we make amends, the spouse will change or the child will change or the neighbor will change. No, we don't expect. We just surrender and say, Krishna, I've done my part. My side of the road is clean. Okay, ready for this one? This is my favorite one. This is the one that takes even more hard work than the other one. Amends, the spiritual principle with ourselves, okay? Acknowledge the self-harm caused through harsh self-judgment and neglect. Amend your relationship with yourself through compassionate understanding. E stands for eliminate comparison and competition with others. This morning in our Bhagavatam class, one of our members was saying how there are the 3 C's, the three C's, the cancer, comparison, competition, and what's the other one? Comparison, competition, complaining, exactly. So these 3 are the cancers. So we eliminate those 3 cancers, 3 C's. Notice patterns of self-envy that create suffering. Develop self-forgiveness as a devotional practice. Yesterday also in our meeting, we discussed this principle. We shouldn't compare. We shouldn't be like, oh, I should have get that done. I should have chanted rounds in this way. I should have finished this way. I should have done that way. We just be a more self-forgiving. And then we actually, that's our actually true amend. Oh, the last one I skipped. Surrender. That's also surrender, by the way. It's, oops, I think I need to go back. Surrender perfectionism to Krishna's perfect love. Krishna can accept us. It's us who has a problem with our imperfections. He's okay with imperfections. As long as we are honest, it's okay. So, for example, if I'm not able to chant my rounds, as long as I know how many rounds I need to recuperate and I write it down, then I don't need to beat myself up. I know that this is there. And then when I am more recovered, more, and I will, but not doing that and being in denial can be a disease. So the balance between the two, okay? Like forgiveness doesn't mean denial, because when we deny, it's not forgiveness. Forgiveness is honesty. Okay, did I miss something here? So the point is this: if you're still mentally beating yourself up, something you did in 2008, this is about soft space for you to look at yourself, to land. Self-amends means calling off that inner critique, not just calling an old friend and telling, hey, I feel bad. No, it's like sometimes you message somebody and they don't reply back. It's called ghosting. So sometimes we do that with ourselves. So it's like ghosting your own hearts while you're chasing for external validation. Okay. That's very true for me, at least. So surrendering perfectionism to Krishna is the uninstalling of the 49 unnecessary applications which is keeping running there in the phone or on the computer. Finally, there is space to breathe. All right. Now you may ask, when is it time for amends? It's not that we are doing this obsessively, compulsively, running around. No. If a particular, this is like a humorous side to it. If a particular name from some history is giving you some spiritual indigestion, it's time to do amends. If your japa feels jammed or your prayer turns into a guilt trip, then you're overdue to do this amends. And emotional constipation is actually a real thing, by the way. So amends are laxative. It kind of purges you. So think of it like a karmic detox program for your karmic release and also peace of mind. All right. So memory is still lingering. If remembering the person or situations bring pain, there's something unresolved. Prayers, when you're praying, feels blocked. So when guilt distracts you from your devotional practice, it means your soul is asking for honesty. Love feels obstructed. If your heart feels heavy, making amends may be your path to inner healing. Okay, so these are the indicators when we need to make the amends. It's not like every day. Just make it when you've experienced these things. And by the way, I promise you, if you do this step work, eventually you will feel lighter and you won't feel so much the need. Initially, maybe when you're introduced to this, you may think, oh my God, I feel this every day. Well, that's because you've still not done the program. If you do it, you attend meetings regularly, you will feel that release, and that you will really experience that karmic release. All right. So some motivational principles here, just easy to remember kind of things. Sometimes you wait to feel ready, but let's be honest, right? We're usually just scared. It's not even about being ready. So this step is nothing to do with that. It's just courage courage doesn't mean you're not scared. It just means showing up even though you're scared. Chant anyway, even though you feel bored. So this step is not about damage control. It's more about restoration. So real humility is not about crawling on our feet, begging for our husband's attention or somebody's attention. It's about standing tall without stomping on others. Okay, this is something I had to learn the hard way. All right. So choosing courage instead of comfort. Facing our faults takes guts, but hiding behind the past only prolongs pain. Better willingness than to think that I'll do it when I'm ready. Just you're willing, just jump into it. You don't have to feel ready. You only need to be willing. Healing is relational. Amends are for cleaning the heart, not just clearing your conscience. This also I had to learn the hard way, not just go and blurt out, oh, I did this to you, and I just want to clear my conscience. It's about cleaning my heart. It's about strengthening my character. And then actions speak loudly. So step 8 and 9 is less about words. It's more about a changed heart. So sometimes a changed life is the deepest apology. We'll see how in the next slides, you don't have to run after somebody. It's not about that. It's more about you and Krishna. Okay. All right. These are some examples from Srimad Bhagavatam that gives us proof about karma, how when karmic stuff is holding us back, we cannot progress in bhakti or get stuck. So one example is Citraketu Maharaj. He had all the bhakti, okay, but he missed a slight little conscious humility update, you can say. So he had to be born as demon. So the point is, pride before fall, Citraketu mocked at Lord Shiva unconsciously, wasn't doing it consciously. Then what happens? Parvati becomes very upset. Then karmic return. Though he was forgiven by Lord Shiva, he had to return as Vritrasura. And then we see how he prayed, and many of his prayers are most surrendered prayers in Srimad Bhagavatam. We still chant them today. So the lesson here is devotion, bhakti alone is not enough. We must honor our human connections. There are people in our lives for a reason. So unrepaired wrongs weigh on our soul across lifetimes. This is the lesson we can learn. So it's not enough to love Krishna and snub Shiva, or fix the mess now, or meet or face it next life. So it's a more in a more dramatic fashion, of course. Like Daksha, he got his head cut off. Vritrasura, Citraketu had to come as Vritrasura. Gajendra had to, King Indradyumna had to come as Gajendra. So many examples of missing that one beat of amends. One beat amends, another lifetime, as an elephant, as a demon, as a crocodile, as a lizard. Lizard, we'll see. Oh, you're saying what? Lizard? Yes, I'm talking about lizard here. This is Maharaja Nrga. This is a story of Maharaja Nrga from Srimad Bhagavatam. Imagine you donated 100 cows, hundreds of cows, and still imagine as a result of donating hundreds and thousands of cows, you become a lizard. It's like, what? That's like looks like a clerical error. So Nriga's story is showing us that the point that he was a very charitable king. He led a very amazing life of devotion, generosity, charity. He made a simple mistake. It wasn't even his mistake. One cow from one of the bunch went into another with another herd. It just ran away. And intentions were great, but accountability is very liberating. So the point is about amends are not about guilt. Amends are they are like insurance policies against our karmic reincarnation. Okay, let me tell you again. Amends are like insurance policy against your karmic reincarnation. It's very, very helpful. Even for yourself, if you don't make amends to yourself, you may be born again. So every unresolved acts leaves a karmic tab open. And then it's time to pay it. How do you pay it? With honesty. So karmic consequences, he was born, Maharaja Nrga was born as a lizard for his unresolved error. Of course, he was given a choice. He was asked, do you want to enjoy your good karma first, or do you want to experience the one mistake he did, one little thing of the cow, little thing, and he had so much good, and he had one thing to suffer, and he said, let me first suffer. Of course, then he get liberated and everything. It's the story of Bhagavatam, so it's a great story. So liberation lesson is that making amends liberates the heart. It liberates us. It lightens our load, which brings me to this question. Sometimes we are cursed. Maybe a relationship is broken. Somebody doesn't like us. Something happened in the past. In step 8 and 9, we actually take this with gratitude, with a grain of salt. Understanding the nature of the material world, we don't fret and frown and pull our hair out thinking, oh, I have to fix this thing. No, we don't do that. Remember first 7 steps. We do not control. We just let go and let Govinda. But step 8 and 9 is not again about clearing conscience. It's more about learning how to change ourselves through that and being grateful for that. Maharaj Nrga never regretted being given a lizard body, or Citraketu did not regret having gotten a demon body. They all accept the curse. Parikshit, even that was like a small thing. He put a snake on the neck and he was cursed to die in 7 days, but he did not retaliate. So we do not control in this step. That was very important. I needed to say that. So now we have another example. Last example for today is Indra. See, Indra is the CEO of the heavenly planets, but even he gets schooled by the spiritual teacher. So the point is, this is a point for us. If Indra can mess up repeatedly, we can relax about being messy humans. If we're not getting it right, it's human. You're human. So honor does not come from hiding mistakes. It comes from owning them. So spiritual maturity spiritual maturity doesn't mean we don't make mistakes anymore. Spiritual maturity means not needing a thousand thunderbolt to learn humility, or needing any even a thunderbolt. So even Indra has a thunderbolt with him, but he still needed to learn humility. You see that again and again. I like this image of Indra. I created it with the AI today. Okay, Bhagavatam reflection. Indra's pride, offense to Guru. He offended his own Guru, Indra. India, he disrespected his Guru. And then he harmed some sacred beings and sages. And then he was struggling to accept Krishna's plans. Even Krishna, he challenged even Krishna himself. And then he had repeated falls. So the point is, prestige doesn't excuse accountability, no matter what's our position. I'm a mother and it's my duty to do this. I am a wife. I need to, whatever it is. No, prestige or position does not allow us to, it doesn't excuse us from accountability. Okay, this is a kind of like basic philosophy, karma 101, but we need to, step 7, when AA people talk about it, they don't even speak about karma, although it is karma in this life from previous life. All right, so I hope you don't need a thunderbolt for that. Next lesson is that dharma demands amends. Without making them, even the exalted fall again and again. Very big lesson we learned from Indra. So I should have shown this slide in the beginning, but I wanted to give a punch, so I'm showing this slide now. Yesterday, in the previous video, step 7, you learned that you don't have to go to prison to eat the rasgulla. If you're Krishna's devotee and you surrender, you can experience spiritual rasgulla. So this step 7, after 7, 8, 9, is about from prison to passport. So you don't have to remain in the prison anymore. Something happened. Okay, prison to passport. So your step 7 was your jailbreak. Okay, you can you come out, and step 8 is your passport application. I'm giving this example because I went through. Pankaj Radha knows what I went through with my passport, right? So 7 is choosing freedom. I'm by the way, I was very grateful for my passport being stolen and then me having to be in Radha Kalachandji's shelter. So the step 7 is choose freedom. We choose freedom from the prison of ego and control. Then comes step 8, which is map your path. Applying. I applied for a new passport. Then we apply for the new passport and we map the karmic cords, every unresolved hurt, every withheld apology, and we don't only do the past things. Even today, as soon as I make a mistake, immediately I make amends. I don't carry the load anymore. Then step 9 is taking action. Make amends not to erase. Okay, I'm not reading that. We make amends not to impress, but to release ourselves and others. I'll read that again. We make amends not to impress, but to release ourselves and others. They say, right, revenge is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Envy is like that. So we make amends not to erase the past, but to redeem it. In other words, we look back and say, this is who I was. Thank you, Krishna, so that I can improve myself, so I can better myself, so I can turn my character into something worthy for your service. So turning your story into someone else's survival guide. That's my inspiration. I want to turn my story into someone else's survival guide. My whole Anartha-Nivritti, your story is precious. when you're able to share that with others, the step 3 prayer, right? We want our stories, the way we are taking help from Krishna to inspire others. So yes, turning your story into someone else's survival guide, including your own. You can, of course, take inspiration from your own. All right, spiritual benefits of amends. Can I have a volunteer to read this, please?
Burn karmic baggage. Release the weight of past actions through honest acknowledgement. Own our shadows. Embrace all aspects of ourselves with compassion and honesty. Practice humility. Ground spiritual practice in humble action and authentic relationships. Untie ego knots. Free ourselves from the bindings of resentment and pride.
So you can think of this as a cleaning your room before inviting Krishna in. The dirt, shame, blame, all the stale resentment, and we can't sit down and chant peacefully because the heart is it's doubled because of this junkyard, all these things. So amends, it turns chaos into clarity. It makes us self-loathing to self-liberation. So we are not saying, like they say, humility is not to think of yourself less. It's just about thinking less about less of yourself. How do you say? How is that? Not thinking low of yourself, thinking less about
No,
yourself.
no, no. Not thinking less of yourself, but uh, thinking less time of
Yeah,
about yourself.
exactly. Yeah, you get the vision. So it's not about low self-esteem. It's about you don't have time to think of your sense pleasures. You're busy being of service. All right. So this is idea is that you can embrace Krishna through that process. Divine forgiveness. You forgive yourself, forgive others. Then you feel Krishna, you feel space for Krishna as beloved, not judged. And then our part, drop the ego, approach others in sincerity. And Karuna Sindhu is Krishna, right? He's ocean of mercy. So even the Lord of Vaikuntha does not forgive the offense committed against his devotees. That's the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. So we need to be careful to not offend. And also remember, you are also devotee, so don't offend yourself. So Krishna's love is not performance based. So don't mistake Krishna's love to be performance based. He did not, how do you say? So at the same time, don't expect that Krishna will go along with the grudge list we have. So he doesn't like this whole idea of offending others, especially devotees. So it's like leaving banana peels on your own spiritual path. Krishna is like, oh my God, this person is throwing bananas in the banana peels. So he'll try to warn us again and again. My Guruji, my astrology Guruji always says, there is something called prarabdha karma and there is something called purva prarabdha karma. So prarabdha karma is something we come because of past life. What to do? We have certain issues, certain things. But Purva Prarabdha means you take that Prarabdha, whatever the difficulty Krishna gives, maybe poverty, maybe bad health, maybe bad relations. So that's Prarabdha karma. It's manifested already. Bad parents, dysfunctional upbringing, all that. But then how you react to that will create a Purva Prarabdha. Purva Prarabdha means you don't learn the lesson and my parents were like this. I'll also be rude. I'll also be rude with my children and with my partner, whatever. And then you create even double karma. So it's called Purva Prarabdha, a karma that you create because of a bad karma. So it becomes like a toxic cycle. So the point is we leave banana peels in the path of bhakti. So the Lord is merciful. So if we do our RSVP of heartfelt amends to Krishna, we get his grace. Okay, so some practical steps to making amends is prepare spiritually, make direct amends when possible. At the same time, silence is very precious and reflect on your growth throughout the process. Oh, I missed this part. Ready time. See, there's a reason that we pray before doing this because ego is like a Photoshop from the past. So it's very difficult to. So that's why we pray. We don't just go ahead and do the amends. We pray, we do the step 3 prayer, we do the step 7 prayer. And then only we spiritually prepare, because it's like a tool. It's very raw. The sincere, it's very sincere version of ourselves may come, but some amends are best made with words. We need to do that. Others with changed behavior. And so the key is honesty, not heroics. That was important to mention. So the next step is make your list, write down all persons you have harmed without judgment, pray for the willingness, ask Krishna for humility and courage to proceed, take action, begin with safer amends and trust the process. Don't go to the most difficult person. Continue forward, move towards step 10, maintaining your spiritual momentum. In other words, this is a cycle. It's not that if you don't do it now, you'll never do it. You can do it next year. You can do it. So don't rush it. Don't push it. Just flow. Go with the flow. So because this is not just a list, this is a ladder. And to climb a ladder, you need some strength. And each of this step you take, it's like getting you closer to Krishna. Closer to your real self, your higher self. So it begins when you feel that this is doable. I can do it with this person. I can do it with myself, this one. Don't just now make a list. These are all the things I need to change about myself, and I'll do all these things and I'll become determined. It doesn't work like that. You have to do it with humility. Ask for help. Ask Krishna for help. One thing at a time, one day at a time, sometimes 1 hour at a time. And also, it's not about being perfect. It's about progress. It's about staying honest. Okay. All right, that's the end of today's presentation. Thank you very much. You have any comments or questions? Yeah, humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking of yourself less. Yeah, thank you. I feel so good. We have reached step 8 and 9 in our boot camp. Okay, I'm going to stop this recording and we will continue our private talk here. Thank you very much. See you in step 10 video. Hare Krishna.